be moving with the second session, which is on the budgeting and scheduling for real estate projects. The speaker for that is Sarvesh Javdekar, who's the technical director of Vilas Javdekar Developers. I would give a quick introduction of Sarvesh. He is BE Civil with Business Leadership Program from IIM Bangalore. He has over 19 years of experience in real estate and has delivered over 9 million square foot and is currently developing over 12 million square foot. He has in-house construction capabilities for RCC and MEP and has managed huge plethora of projects, including infrastructure projects like roadways, canopy walkways, large water supply and pipeline projects. A warm welcome to you, Sarvesh, and extremely overwhelmed to also note that there are more than 500 participants who are live listening to you. Over to you, Sarvesh.
Wow. All right, thank you. Thanks, Harshal. Thanks the entire CREDAI team for sharing, for giving me this opportunity. I'm sharing my screen now. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yes, Sarvesh.
All right, perfect. So, so today is about budgeting in real estate. Just hang on a bit. So, why do we need a systematic approach? Is basically this business is very complex. You know, we have long duration projects that are going on for 3 years, 5 years. Also, the market is very volatile. As we all know, the commodity prices keep changing. And so typically so I'm going to present a case study of how we are doing at VJ. I'm sure everyone has their own way of budgeting, but I thought of sharing my 2 cents on how we are doing at VJ. So typically the project budget heads are divided in these following categories. We have building, development, site setup, site operational expenses. We have consultants, sanctions and premium, sales and marketing. HR is a huge budget item that we have, and facility maintenance. The IT setup in terms of the ERP softwares and all our hardwares is also a part of the setup, and also our admin costs. So these are roughly 11 budget heads under which our budgeting happens. Under the building item, we have the following. I'm just going to present snapshots. I'm not going to read everything in detail. You can just quickly glance through it. So we have the building development heads, the site setup, which has these typically these heads that are there under site setup, in which our sales infrastructure, the initial sales setup is also a part of the site setup. Then we have site operational expenses, our consultants. The number of consultants that are required are also a part of this. Moving on, we have for RCC and civil, the earthwork, plinth work, RCC superstructure. Since we are also contractors for our own internal projects, we don't give anything that is M+L outside. We mostly do the entire RCC and MEP in-house. So which is why our budgeting item goes into this. So this is about a 1800 line item budget list. And so these are the from earthwork till waterproofing. Similarly, you have tiling and natural stone, door frames and shutters, metal and aluminum and glass work, painting. So these are some of the budget heads under which budgeting happens. Plumbing, as I mentioned, MEP is done in-house. So we have internal and external plumbing and labor. So these are the categories under which plumbing is bifurcated. Electrical is bifurcated also under internal and external. So these are some of the electrical heads under which the budgeting is done. Firefighting, we have a fire license. So we do all the work of firefighting also. Solid waste management, hot water system, elevators, aesthetics and product experience. So this typically pertains to the entrance lobby and the building signages, the door nameplate, etc. Construction safety is a huge budget item that we have. Some of the, I think, the important considerations that need to be done are, I think, contingencies should be considered at least 3%, or say about 50 rupees per square feet is the contingency that you need to be considering. I think we also, as engineers and business owners, we need to fully understand what our sales and brochure commitments are, and make sure that all those commitments are a part of your budget line items. I think this is becoming very important with RERA coming in picture, wherein 5 years is our defect liability, and generally we do not budget for that those 5 years, and after the completion or the OC, in fact the income tax also doesn't allow any expenses. So initially, so we have a third party, our own in-house company, to which we give this contract for DLP and from the parent developer company at 20 rupees per square feet, and that the in-house other sister company is expected to perform all such liabilities or any repairs or maintenance that may come. Consider appropriate tolerances in wastage of tiles, especially because normally the theoretical is what we consider as 5 to 8%, but there have been instances where up to 18% wastages have occurred. Budget for departmental labor cost. I think this is a huge item wherein the last minute cleaning, housekeeping, you need some department labor on board for unloading of material and shifting it in the site itself. Consider water, electricity, and diesel costs based on historical data. I think here is also where typically in large scale township projects or large projects, you end up getting water from the tanker for construction, and that is where your sometimes your expenses may go above. So do consider these things when you're doing your budgeting. And also the site operational expenses in terms of your rental, machinery rental, the tractor trolleys, the debris management, all those things should also be monitored frequently. So this is a typical budget variation form that we have, and this variation form essentially speaks about any variation in the budget, and if there is any amendment that is required. So you can see these two boxes is that either you use the contingency, or if there is any particular activity that is over and if there is some saving in that activity, we transfer that saving into contingency so that that can be used later on as a part of any excess funds that are available, so that you don't have to shift or rather change the entire budget. So as far as possible, the second box is not ticked. We always try to manage through the contingencies. This is the cost, the balance cost and CTC, that is cost to complete monitoring dashboard that we are currently following, wherein this is the total CTC date, as in the cost to complete date on which what was the total budget, what is the cost incurred, what is your balance cost, and what are this is W1 is the December month, say for example December week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4, and this is the total bills that were booked in this week. And every week there is a CTC meeting that we have, wherein there is a budgeted cost to complete, and if there are any variations on site, then those can be reported, and the actual CTC can be also finalized at the end of each month. So if there are any variations in terms of market prices or any commodity prices or any excess expenditure that has been done, those get highlighted at a monthly level so that you can appropriately fine-tune your unsold stock. The prices of your unsold stock, you can slightly increase it, or in fact, if you're having some saving, you can also even lower it if you want to achieve higher sales velocity. In terms of commodity pricing, so for steel, cement, GGBS, and concrete, these are typically about all the A items that we have. And this is the overall sign of budget, the GRN so far, what was the average rate. And as Shashank was mentioning about the data, this data really helps us to identify what has been the impact on the overall profitability, impact on the purchase for these particular items. So you can have your own independent formats, but it's important to have a weekly update on how the commodity prices are shifting and how it is impacting your budget. Now, in terms of planning and scheduling, we have something which is what we call as an M schedule, which is a monthly schedule. So I would typically divide real estate projects as a 3-mile race, wherein your first mile is your all these steps. So So M1, essentially your month 1 is your launch date. This is M1 over here. So we typically start from minus M5 and the first mile goes till about M6. So these are some of the key events that, as a developer team, we should be achieving these events for sure through the life of the project. In the second mile, we have these, 15 odd from M7 till M15. So these 15 months is from month 7 till month 15 are the second mile, major events that we should be monitoring. And in the third mile, we have these many events that are coming up. So as you can see, every project is tracked from minus M5 till about M36. And these are some of the key events that as a team, as functions, as departments, internally, we should be ensuring that these things are happening for each project. So we are doing this and we're calling this as the M schedule. It's an acronym, monthly schedule. Moving on, we also have something which is a third mile tracker. Typically what happens is, projects get delayed in the third mile, which is towards the possession. And that's because of so many non-revenue works that we have to do, because the first, 15 months you get 80% of your payment through the RCC. And the last 20% is for the non-revenue works that we are doing on site. So, and in order to ensure that there are no delays, this is a tracker for the third mile, typically for the third mile. And if there are any, red marks to be highlighted, the site comes up with these specific points, and this tool is being used currently as a tracker. In terms of project status, so as I mentioned, so the RERA date, the agreement to sale date, what is your internal target completion date anticipated, and any delay or if you are going ahead or falling behind of schedule is highlighted at a monthly level. So this monthly dashboard is for the recovery milestones, because cash flow is of course important. So if there are any any recovery milestones that are getting delayed, and what was the overall percentage of milestones that were achieved, so it's slightly graphical and easy to understand more in a pie chart. Some of these dashboards are for the construction cash flow in terms of what was your projected monthly, your planned cash flow versus your actual cash flows. This is the cumulative cash flow for the particular project in terms of how the project has been performing over a cumulative period of time, so that you can track if your planned versus actual construction has been any difference. This is the monthly cash flow for that particular project, wherein you can see it's more like a bell curve, wherein, for example, in December 22, your cash flow requirement was probably the highest because all the buildings and everything, the site was going on in full swing. And probably by March it must be the time for possessions where your expenses have kind of reduced substantially. This is also a look ahead versus actual plan for contracts. So typically our planning team issues alerts for look aheads for purchase and contracts. So, for example, there are total 40 work orders that need to be given, out of which say 33 are done and maybe 7 are still not done. So probably those 7 that are not done is what is focused on at the senior management level, so that any issues in terms of why they were not done or what the constraints were are actually drilled down. In terms of similarly, we have a purchase look ahead plan, wherein we have a total purchase order count to be done for this month. So for example, 110 purchase orders have to be done for this particular project, and out of which say not done are 11. So you're still falling behind. So the what are those that are not done is being focused on. We have so this is a site constraints map that we have in terms of, so I call this as a DMAC sheet, which is design, material, agencies, and cash flow. This is a constraint form which all sites have to report in terms of their specifics for any issues in terms of design, material, agency, or any contractor work order that has not been given, or whether the contractor has not mobilized. If there are any challenges in estimation team or function that has been occurred, or any other, or of course, if there is any issue in cash flow. So these site constraints mapping is done. And yeah, so since we also have about a lot of form work in terms of aluminum, table form, alu form, we have a formwork mapping dashboard wherein the total existing formwork that is being utilized, how this formwork will be modified and reused for upcoming project is also mapped, so that your asset utilization is at its optimal, and at no point in time more than 5% of your assets should lie idle. So we have tied up with Hilti on-track asset management tool that helps us to track the performance of each and every asset in terms of breakers or small chippers to RMC plants to tower cranes to even this formwork. So this is the a snapshot of the asset mapping dashboard that we have in terms of, so these are the assets, the asset codes, and etc. So this actually runs in 600 line items. I didn't want to share just like a snapshot. So I think so yeah, so this was about the budgeting and cash flow that I wanted to probably share, and I hope I was in time. Any questions or any things that are required?
Tremendous.
Thanks a lot, Sarvesh.
Sarvesh, if you can just share the PPT, because a lot of people are asking for this now.
I will, of course.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Abhishek, for inviting, and thanks, Harshul. Thanks once again.
Thanks a lot, Sarvesh. That was extremely informative.